So I'm just hitting record right now. Okay, good. I've got it recorded. Good morning, Jeanette.
Good morning.
Mona. We're a little, it's not that late starting. I was telling Mona that I slept in this morning. My alarm went off, I think, but I must have turned it off. So we're just getting going at the whole morning. So I'm just kind of taking it slow, watching for other people to get on. Heather told me she slept in too. So she's like, I'm going to be a little bit late. Really funny. Anyways, but Mona hit 1 star this week. And so she was telling us the magic behind that and how she had set the intention and you were writing it down every single day. Dave and I are on an inside leg as well. So we understand, and there's a lot of power in it once you understand that it doesn't matter where I am, I'm still in charge of how it's going to go. How it's going to go. So that's exciting. So do you want to say just again, because I had, now we're recording, how you set that intention and how it went for you?
So every morning I've got my little IsaGenics diary and I post affirmations in there, but every morning I spend a couple minutes meditating and then I jot down my thoughts. And so every day for almost 6 weeks now, I've been writing that I am a 1 star. And then I put a date to it. So I'm a 1 star by November 20th. And that's kind of what my goal was. And then I thought, well, if I'm a 1 star by December, then I'm good. Well, actually, if I'm a 1 star by the end of the year, then I'm going to be really good. And so I kept making all these arbitrary dates. And last week I woke up and I said, why not try this week? What if I tried for 1 star this week and didn't hit it? Well, okay, that's fine because it's still before Christmas. I'm still going to be okay because I still have many more weeks. But what if I tried it and actually hit it? What would that do for my brain and my soul to have that kind of extra pressure released, that I'm not always striving for 1 star by this time and do I go from 2 to 3 or 2 to 4? How many cycles can I go up? But why don't I just see what happens if I actually really put forth the effort to try to hit 1 star now? And so I did. And I worked tirelessly. I tracked it every single day, where I was, what auto ships were going to be hitting, who I could talk to, what clients are going to be interested in mint chocolate chip, who could I share with that would want to share, could I create any consultants, where were people out there that I hadn't considered with, that I followed up with as many people as I could. And then lo and behold, Sunday night, I hit 1 star. So now I can go back to my little affirmation book and be like, look at that. That worked. And I didn't even have to wait till Christmas or November 20th or NYKO or whatever.
Yeah. Holy cow, that's so cool. So I want to know, okay, so you changed your intention a little bit because it wasn't 3 months from now or October, November, December, 3 months from now. All of a sudden, what if I could do it this week? So there was that change. What did that do for the way you felt inside? That's my first question. How did you feel differently?
I felt like I was going to need to be hyper-focused, because if I wanted to do in 1 week what I had planned on doing 3 months, then I needed to hone in and let this be my focus.
Okay, awesome. And did it increase your excitement? Did it increase your the energy that you felt or that you put toward it as well?
Everything. It increased the anxiety, it increased the fear, it increased the excitement, it increased the frustration, it increed the ambition, it increased all of my emotions were kind of heightened.
Full range.
Yeah, I went through the full range of emotions throughout the week.
Okay. And then time-wise, did you end up spending more time on IsaGenics, or was it just more hyper-focus on what you were doing?
Both. I mean, it took a lot of time. So I asked my husband to help me with the laundry. We ordered takeout for the first time that we have ordered takeout since we've been here. I don't know if I washed my hair last week. I bathed every day because I work out every day. But nothing else in my life was getting 100% of my focus except for IsaGenics. But that's how steep the goal was for me. Yeah. It wasn't a baby step. It was a ginormous step. It wasn't anything that I could just put in a little extra effort. It was going to take all forces to make it happen.
Yeah. And you talked about, did you use your reports and things like that in your back office to know
I ran reports multiple times a day. I was checking my my back office was up constant. I mean, it was up. For the moment I was up, my back office tab was up. So I could be checking it at any point in time to see who had said they were going to order and when they were ordering and did they order, and thank them for ordering and ask them, okay, who else do you know would like our seasonal shakes? Or did you get your shake? What did you think of it? Who else would like it? So I was tracking it very, very closely, like hyper focused.
That's really awesome. I think that, I know that I've heard, almost anybody that you hear that kind of like, whoa, when they just all of a sudden they leave one event and they come back to the next event with, rank advancements, and all of a sudden everyone knows their name, they're winning all kinds of da-da-da. It seems like that's what they all do. And it isn't that you have to have that kind of focus and energy in it all the time, but it feels like they take chunks of, a week out of a month, or, 90 days out of every 360 days or whatever, that they do that kind of a thing where they take that week and they go for it. I remember in 2008 when the market was down, and everybody everywhere was cutting. They were either firing people, laying people off, or they were cutting wages, saying, let's, get through this together. Everybody will just take a pay cut. And I was a part of a different company at that time. I've always been with Dave and Isagenix. I've always known that this was the place for Dave, and I had already been doing a different company. So I was there, and I was in leadership, but it didn't generate the money, not even close to what Isagenix was generating. However, it was just still my thing. So I went to a leadership meeting there, and that's what they said. We're just going to cut everybody. We're going to cut commission for a little while. That we're all just going to take this together. And we won't have to, close down or whatever. And I'm like, that's pretty cool that they're, even corporate's willing to take a pay cut, whatever. And then it was like the next week I went to Isagenix celebration, and they said, they said, we know there's a recession, but we choose not to participate. So they set that intention, just like you did, like, what if, and just set that intention. And then they said, so we've decided to add $19 million to the front of the compensation plan. And that's when they started the bonuses. They didn't have them then until that point. And, now they've increased the bonuses, but they started then. And I remember hearing, I guess it was NYKO, the very next big event, people getting up on stage that had that same kind of intention. And they said, we were losing our house, and we left celebration knowing with that bonus plan. And they said, this is the way for us to save our house. Like some people were down to the wire, like that next week they were going to sign foreclosure papers or whatever it was, and they had saved their house by NYKO. They have those big checks. They were handing people checks for like $350,000, and just saying, this is what they did with the bonus plan, and that's what they did. They said, we got hooked for fun. Like, again, I loved how you said, I don't even know if I washed my hair. We ordered takeout when we know it. I asked my husband to help me. To me, that's huge. And so it was a family effort. Even if, the mom or whoever was doing the business, but they enlisted everybody. Look, we've got this goal. I've got this goal. This is what we can do with the goal. So they incorporated their whole family in the plan and went to work like that. And I know people did it for 30 days straight, but when the stakes are high, if you're losing your house, you'll do that. So I love listening to that happening in motion. And it started with a really clear intention. Right? Intention, again, in the whole voice program, because of just what's going on in my life. And it hasn't been with building Isagenix. That's what Dave's been doing. But just with building myself as a person and everything else that I've been doing, I've just repeated these 5 steps over and over and over again. And it wasn't until later that I was like, I'm repeating the same steps over and over again. And I was able to give it a name and create a program with it. But it's always been intention, and then putting those intention into action that has really made the difference. And at the same time, building that value of who I am, and then being that, So I want to ask you one more question. Like, how do you feel now, knowing that you can set a clear intention, that you can write your vision out every single day, and that you can make things happen in a really big way? How do you feel about future goals now, no matter what it is? I mean, they'll probably still be scary. I'm pretty sure you'll still feel the full spectrum of emotions, which there's power in that as well, right? Brene Brown talks about you can't feel extreme joy if you don't also feel extreme pain because you don't have that capacity. And I could testify to that. This is where I used to live, right here. This little teeny tiny range. And as I increased my fear, my joy has also increased. So of course you'll go through that, but how do you feel about the possibilities now? Knowing that you can, in a week, just blow it out.
I've always been a goal setter, and I'm an endurance runner. So I set these crazy big goals often, but they've always been in this one track. And this was the first time that I have set like a really big goal with IsaGenics and kind of been true to the goal, not just set the goal, but know that I could do it and work to it until I could make it happen. What it allowed me to do, I think, was because I've got a great product story, and I've got working on belief in myself. But this was the first time that I could go to people and say there is legitimacy in this compensation plan, and I have lived it now. Like I hit a benchmark. You know, when you make $1,000 in a week, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of money. And when you tell someone, I do this part-time and I've done it part-time consistently for a long time, but if we stick to it, if we're true to it, we can make it happen. There's just a lot of validity when you hit a benchmark that you've got some confidence to be able to go tell people that it can be done and it be your story and not always somebody else's, because there's so many stories, so many big stories, but this is my story and I can feel good about my story.
That's amazing, because creating your own story really does make a difference. Do you feel like working on your 30-second story, you know, the things we've been doing, the practicing that and really getting, you know, clear on what your story is, do you feel like that had anything to do with your ability to, you know, get on the phone and talk to people?
I think everything that we've done over the past few weeks has set me up to be in the right place at the right time to set a goal that I knew would be really hard. And it went back to everything, to being comfortable with my temperament style, to looking at my list of wants. And I realized that my list of wants, you know, as I started it, like I said, at first it was superficial, and then it was, you know, kind of wanting soft things. And then I realized that my list of wants started to go into wanting to help little kids with fundraisers, and so much of it began wanting to give. So I could go look at my list and be like, this is a good, solid list. It's a little bit of me and wanting, you know, my nails done. And it's a little bit of wanting to feel valued for my husband. And then it's a little bit of wanting to give back to my church or to the fundraiser, and thinking that this is a good, so with all of these things that we've done over the past few weeks, that it took a little bit of all those things to get me to want to be really uncomfortable.
Really want to push it and to be uncomfortable. That's one of the things with, do you mind if I share what we found with your temperament type?
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
And it's available to everybody that, you know, is on this call or that listens, that I have this assessment that I can send to you, and it's not yet. I'm working on that. So my goal is to get it actually validated, empirically validated, but it's pretty close. And then after a conversation, we were able to narrow in, and Mona is a C, we decided. And so she's motivated by comfort and connection. And a lot of times somebody who's motivated by comfort, because that's first, it has to come first, and then the connection happens. But without the comfort, the connection doesn't happen. And so there's this kind of a fight between yourselves when you're not a healthy version of C, right? So what I've learned, and what Dr. Slade has validated as well in conversation, is that by stepping outside of my comfort zone, that's why I'm so big about that. Because the more I realize that I increase my comfort zone by being uncomfortable, when I do it on purpose, I know that I'm expanding my comfort zone, and I have the ability to be comfortable in way more situations than when I wasn't doing anything, so that I could stay safe, you know. And now I'm having these connections that are really turning me into the person that I know I am, and it feels so much better. And so, you know, you've been doing those little things too to expand your comfort zone in more ways than just, you know, you knew you were good at running a marathon. And so you really were, you know, fabulous there, but now you've been, you know, reaching out and doing things like the, you know, 30-second story and all the stuff that we've been doing. And so your comfort zone is expanding, and it's allowing more room for connection, which that's what network marketing is all about, is connection. And when you realize that, it's amazing. And all of us are good at connection. I mean, human beings are also designed to be connectors. But for a C, it's like that extra internal motivation, you know. So anyway, it's really fun to see you blossoming. I'm having really fun watching you. And yeah, congratulations. So I wanted to talk to, and I feel bad. Well, I don't. I'm really good at shooting from the hip because I know what I want to talk about, but I like to also be prepared with slides and things to show you. And today we're just going to chat because I don't have those because of my ability to not get out of bed this morning. Felt really good though. I never sleep in. It's so funny. I'm always up at 6 o'clock is late for me, you know? So I'm like, well, it's 8:15. I've got to get out of bed. But I wanted to talk a little bit. Did you guys see my video that I left last week? I apologize for that too. I didn't even realize that I wasn't going to be on the call till late the night before. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to be on an airplane. So I had asked Heather to post that, and then I just really quick did the video. So how many of you were able to look at the script for the bonuses, the you share, they share, repeat script, and practice that? Any of you? I see you're reaching for something, Mona. Are you going to show me something?
Yeah. And I'm reaching for my 90-day game plan book because I watched your video and I practiced you share, they share, but I didn't really even go look for the script. And you even said, don't wing it. Don't add your own content. Really use the script. And I still don't even know where the script is.
Okay. Is that the book from this last...
No.
I'll find the page for you here really quick. But the book from last time has it in there pretty clearly. So here, I'm going to find the page and I'll post it. And the reason to not wing it, there's a lot of reasons. One of them is because the script says everything that needs to be said. Let me see. And a lot of times when we're nervous, we don't know exactly what to say. We start getting wordy and we start to verbally vomit all over people, and it turns people off. They're not really, you know, it's too much information. It isn't necessarily that they don't want the information. They just get overwhelmed with too much information. Or we get sidetracked, or we get confusing because our nerves, our emotions step in, and we feel like we have to tell them every little detail. And, you know, I've been on calls where a quick, 20-minute call lasted an hour and a half because there wasn't any clear-cut script to go on. So there's that reason. But also, let's see, I went to a different place than I normally go. The other reason is that it's compliant. And our company is really careful with compliance, and it's a big deal. And so they've written it in a way that if anybody were to be, they're hyper focused on compliance. And so they're like, if anybody were to just be transplanted into a home presentation or into a, even a one-on-one presentation, who happened to be a part of is it called the SEC or the FEC? I don't even know what they're called. And we were to say something that even looked a tiny bit like not being compliant, we could be in trouble. We've seen other companies do that. So it's very compliant. And after you get that script memorized, that's when it becomes really natural for you. And you can change little words here and there to personalize it, but it's really important, again, that we stick with the nuts and bolts of this bonus plan. So when I go to UIA, and David Wood explains the power of a script, I didn't used to believe that. I'm always like, no, I do so much better just shooting from the hip. I don't like to memorize things. It's not that I can't. I know I can memorize, but I don't like to because I don't feel like it's me. It doesn't feel natural. It feels, too scripted. And going enough and learning to have trusted him, first of all. It's on page 24. Yeah, 24. And then the diagram, here, I'm going to share my screen now. The diagram is also there for you to copy. Anyway, the more I've trusted David Wood, and then I've done the memorizing, and I've watched other people do the memorizing, and then I watched them do it, and it's so natural. I'm building my belief not only just because I trust David Wood, but because I've experienced it. So anyway, that was a lot of rambling while I was looking for the script. But here it is on page 24 of the 90-day action plan. And this is the most recent version of the 90-day action plan that they have on isagenicsbusiness.com. So you go to isagenicsbusiness.com. Here, I'll show you what that looks like too. Let me go back. They have this icon here. So this is isagenicsbusiness.com. This is what comes up. And they have these 4 tabs. They have you share, they share, repeat. They even have the video and everything here. The 90-day action plan, you can click on that and it will pull up the whole book. No, then you have to click on the book here, this link here, and it will take you to the book. And then I scrolled through all the pages, and you can print this off or you can just keep it pulled up. It's, you know, a lot of pages, so depending on if you like to print that much or not. But page 24. So you just start practicing this, and it's good if you get a partner, or you can do it with the video if you don't have a partner to practice it with. You know, just video yourself doing paragraph by paragraph by paragraph. One way, Dave, does anybody struggle with memorization? You know, that wants some tips on how to memorize things?
I'll take some tips.
Okay. And it's, again, it's just what works for you. So when you practice something and you find, well, this might work better, then, you know, do what works for you. But one way is to record yourself saying it out loud. So you're reading it, but you're recording yourself, and to listen to it. So then just listen maybe a paragraph or 2 at a time, then shut it off and repeat that back, and then go back and listen and do it again and again and again. That way it's kind of like you're practicing with somebody else, because you're listening, you're using more than one sense. You know, you're reading it, you're speaking it, and you're hearing it. And then as you are memorizing, you're actually bringing in that memory, that thinking part of your brain too. So you have all these neurons firing together. You're going to build that pathway that's going to create that memorization. Dave will often, he'll get a 3x5 card. He loves those things. And he will write the first letter of every word if there's a part that's hard for him. So, and he'll, you know, do the video, you know, read it and read it and read it and listen to himself and practice it. But he'll also have the first letter of every word in front of him. So he can say, okay, what's that word? And he's like, oh, it's a C. Oh yeah, it's created. So that's how he'll do it. So, you know, just even a paragraph at a time, even if you want to just practice, you know, the first little bit and then do a video and post it in the group and then go work on the next little bit. But, you know, when David Wood shares his story, he was introduced to network marketing after he'd been living just in country. He just was like vagabond. You know, he just had not that much money, but he went from country to country, and he would go find a job, then he'd find a place to live, and then he'd move on to the next place. And he was introduced to network marketing. He borrowed $800 from a friend to go buy clothes to go to this meeting so that he felt like he looked the part. And they told him to memorize a script. And he's an O, so he's not the kind of person that really likes to sit down and focus on one thing for one time. He's always wanting to know what's next, right? But he also knew that he wanted to be able to make better money than what he was doing. He was at a place in his life when he's like, okay, I'm tired of living like this. I want more money. And so, and I'm totally paraphrasing his story, so leaving out all the real details. But he did. He sat through the whole night and he memorized the script, and he was the only one in the whole group that did it. And he's all, that was the beginning of my success. And now he's like a multi-millionaire, and he travels the world just at a whim, you know? And so he says this is what it started with. And he's an O. He doesn't like to do that kind of stuff. It's hard for him to memorize things. It's just not his focus. He'd much rather be out having an adventure somewhere. But he knew that this was going to allow him to have more adventure. Just like with the C, knowing that getting uncomfortable is going to increase your ability to be comfortable, he knew that by making himself sit down and memorize the script, that he was going to be able to have more adventure, and he could pay for that adventure. So when you know why you're doing something, you're willing to do the thing that you don't want to do, the thing that's hard for you, because you can see the results. That's what Dave calls reverse engineering. You know, here's what I want. What are the steps that are going to take to get that? And I'm willing to do that because it's what I want. That's why, Mona, that's why you knew, because you knew what you wanted more clearly, because you've done the work there. You did the work on creating your 30-second story. And so finally you're like, if I buckle down, you know, for a week, maybe I can hit my goal. And you did it. And it wasn't comfortable for you, I'm sure. I'm sure you much would have rather washed your hair and sat back and, and whatever. And you wanted your goal more than you wanted the comfort at the time. And now you've got this increased comfort, So I think it's amazing how it all works together. And with every story, if you look, you'll find these steps, and they really do work. So anyway, that's my little testimonial, but he'll say it. Like, he's very adamant. And it's funny to me, when I first got to know him better, that he was the one up there on the stage preaching, learning a script, because it doesn't seem like that's his personality, but he's so adamant about it because he knows what happens. And that's why this is in the script. This is his program. He created it. And so that's why he wanted the script in the book, both for the 30-second story, that template. And he's adamant about that too. Learn it, memorize it, and get it down, and so that it flows naturally. And once you do that, you can plug in any story, because you'll continue to have stories. Now, Mona, you have a wealth story that you can create with your 30, and that'll continue to evolve. But because you know the template now, you'll be able to just plug in things quickly instead of having to belabor it every single time. Same with this script. Once you know it, you'll be able to sit down in Starbucks on a napkin and draw out this diagram and share with somebody how they can save their house, or how they can afford a vacation or Christmas, or whatever it is that, somebody might be struggling with that financial pain. And the other thing that they talk about is, don't prejudge. Don't let anybody, don't think, oh, they're not going to want to hear about it, because they've already told me they don't want to know the business, or they don't seem like they're the kind of person that wants to know the business, so I'm not going to share this with them. That's the next thing I've heard over and over and over again, is don't prejudge people. Because if you can let them know, this is because a lot of the bonuses in the beginning are under a time limit, right? If they want to hit that bonus, they've got to hit manager in 60 days, in 90 days and 120 days. So I feel obligated to share this with you, because there is a time limit. And so I'm just going to, can I have 5 more minutes of your time while I just show you how this works? Because it really makes, whatever you want to say, but I love to help you get your products paid for. Or, I don't want to make your decision for you, is what I've heard people say, which I love, because we think by sharing the compensation plan, we're making a decision for them, but actually it's the other way around. If we don't share, we've decided that they don't want to know about it. We've taken them out of the game for this, amazing bonus that, the opportunity is gone. So I don't want to make up your mind for you. And I feel really obligated to share this part, because to me, this is what Jay Colburn said to us, and Kathy and Carl Lamar. They said, we've learned that the business is actually the very best product that Isagenix has. And you've already seen what our results with the products are. But I would feel really bad if I didn't share with you our very best product. That's how they shared it with me. And I was like, yeah, well, it might be for Dave. I already have a business, but I listened. And then when Dave had his results, it was like, wow, they have a really amazing bonus plan as well. Well, they didn't have a bonus plan, but the comp plan. So that was the beginning of, we had no intention. Dave threw the card away. I don't know if you guys know that part of the story. We were at an expo, and I was working my little business next to these really annoying, energetic people. It was annoying at the time because I didn't have that much energy, and I was like, how can you have so much energy? You're just too blah. And they just kept bugging me, so I finally listened to their stories so they'd leave me alone. They're sharing their stories, right? They've gone out of their comfort zone. They're sharing their stories. They had before and after pictures, and they were telling me, and I was looking at their before pictures, and then I'm looking at them now, and I'm like, this isn't just somebody else's story that they've, passed around the company that could be a lie, or it doesn't just work for one person. It worked for each one of them. They all had their own story. And in some of them, I'm like, I didn't know I didn't feel good, but I look like that picture, and I sound like everything you're describing. Maybe I can feel better than I do now. And so I'm like, interesting. And then I knew Dave, I think you've heard his story. I wanted something for him more. And so I'm like, oh, maybe this would really work for my husband. So I dragged him over, and these people became less and less annoying the more I listened to their story. I was intrigued by it. And he listens, and he takes their card, and he's like, thanks. And then he threw the card in the garbage and walked off. And I was like, ah! So I said, I want it, but I don't think we can afford it. And I'm not going to ask him, for the money. So I entered their drawing, and I won the drawing. Then when I won, Dave's like, well, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it. So he ended up buying, and when we did it together. And that's the rest of the story. But that being closed in the beginning, but he also had set his vision. He wrote his vision down every day, and he was tired, but he always took the time to read, I'm going to quit my job in 6 months. I'm going to do something that I love to do. I'm going to feel good. He had pictures of himself when he was in best health, and he would look at it every single day. He read his little vision book every single day without fail, in the morning and at night, and then he'd fall asleep because he was so tired. And, it all worked out, and it worked out through me being open as well, but I don't even know why I went off track with that. But it's just like, it was Carl and Kathy Lamar and Jay Colburn being willing to know the scripts and to share their story. And it was Dave and I both, like my vision at that time was for Dave as well. I just want my husband to be healthy. I want him to be happy. And so I heard an opportunity, and then he, because of his vision, once he was able to get his health because of 3 days of, well, I'm not going to let her do it without me. He's like, oh my goodness, I feel good. And then his vision just like, and the rest is history. I mean, he quit his job. It wasn't in 6 months from the time he wrote the book, but it was from April to February. So that's 10 months. So, but the first 4 months of that, we didn't have Isagenics yet. So from the time he found Isagenics to the time he quit his job was 6 months. And he kept saying, I'm quitting my job in 6 months. So that, it works. It really works. And you've just, again, Mona, done proof of it. So this is the assignment for today, or for this week, is to learn this script. And I'll post it. Let's see. Let me download it here so I can post it in the group so that you have it. And I want to find a video. And I might have to ask David Wood's assistant if she can share it with me. I'm not sure if it's posted, but there's a video of a 12-year-old girl who was at UIA who decided to play at 100%. And she presented this script better than any of the adults did. And he's like, this is how easy it is to do it. Like, she's a 12, and she was powerful with it. So I'm going to see if I can find that video. And if I can, I'll post it too, because it'll inspire you to, like, if she can do it, I can do it, And she's adorable besides. So anyway, I'll post those. But that's the assignment. Learn this script. And then figure out your wording for, I feel obligated to share this with you. I don't want to make your mind up for you. And just get to, it's your practice to share this with every single person that you talk to, whether it's to help them get their products paid for, but you can't make up their mind for them. When I finally got that, I've heard it so many times, but there were 2 ladies from Australia who spoke at Celebration. It's been 3 or 4 years ago now. And that's what they said. We finally realized that we couldn't make up people's mind for them. We couldn't make up that decision. I didn't want to prejudge people. So by not sharing, I had made up their mind that they didn't want to do the business. And Dave, that was the other reason I shared the story, I think, is Dave wasn't going to do it. He wasn't even going to use the product. But because Jay Colburn and Carl and Kathy Lamar had learned the scripts and had made it a point to share them with every single person, we are now where we are. So don't prejudge. Even if they say, I'm not interested, even if they throw the card away in front of your face, they shared it with me instead. So anyway, if you can learn the script and you make that intention to share it with every single person, I just need 5 more minutes of your time because I feel obligated to share this with you. I don't want to make your decision for you. And then learn the script and share it with people and watch what happens. Let's see. The next thing, does anybody have any questions or comments about that before I move on? Heather, do you want to unmute yourself?
Okay, so this is kind of random, but it's on the same topic. I have a lot of friends that have approached me with their network marketing companies. And out of respect, I always tell them, I'm happy to look at what you have to offer, and here's mine. This is what I do. That being said, I have someone right now who is talking about what her company is doing. It's a fairly young company. I think it's only like 2 years old. Anyways, and so out of respect, I went ahead and I looked at the compensation plan. I was telling my husband, I'm like, this is archaic. This is sad. Anyways, I desire to respect people where they are. If they love their businesses and their companies and other businesses, that's great. And I know eventually they're going to join me. Like, that's just the posture I have. And do you feel like it would be appropriate for me to reach out to her and say, You're doing amazing with your company. I know you love it, and I'm so happy for you. And I feel obligated to show you my compensation plan.
Yeah.
Like, is that appropriate to do that as a network marketing professional?
Yes, it's more than appropriate. I've heard of many stories of people who have done that exact thing, who have, when people really are open, some people might not be open, and that's fine because that's giving you practice, okay? But when somebody's really open and their real intention is to make money in network marketing, they will see it. They'll see it and they'll be open and they'll be, and there are a lot of leaders in IsaGenix that were reverse pitched just like that. It's like, and the way you approached it is beautiful because you're honoring her. I love your passion. I see how excited you are about what you have. And the more I think about, however, what you shared with me and what I have, I feel obligated to just share my compensation plan with you. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, do it. And that's amazing. And it's awesome too, because with temperament to even watch how you presented that question, because you also are motivated by comfort and connection, right?
Yeah.
So the comfort of her is important for you as well, because it helps you feel comfortable, but also that's your gift, is being able to help other people feel comfortable. So instead of just saying, I'm going to show you, because someone else might just say, and it works both ways, but it's how it works with you. Someone else might just say, that's awesome, I'm going to show you mine, done. That might be an R, just like, let's get this done, I'm just going to share this with you. But you're considering, is it appropriate, is it okay? You're considering her feelings, so you're using your gift to really make it work for you, which is beautiful. Because you're making sure she feels comfortable first, you're making sure she's validated, she's, so beautiful. Yeah, do it exactly like you said, and I think you'll have some fun results. Whether it's with her or whether it's with the 10th person down the road that you do that with, reverse pitching is always appropriate, of course, especially with IsaGenix, because we have the best company. So best company by far.
By far.
Yeah, exactly. So awesome. That was a great question.
Thank you.
Yeah. So learn it, memorize it, post the video. Heather, we weren't on when I asked the question. Did you see the video that I did, and were you able to learn the script?
I did see the video, and I have been studying the script. And I'm going to have my neighbor print it off for me so that I can practice it with my kids, because my printer gave up the ghost. So
there you go. Nice. That's good. And I also shared some tips on how to, do that. And you have kids you can practice with, and I think your kids would be into this kind of thing. So that would be fun. But you can also record yourself doing it, and then listen to yourself, stop it, repeat back to yourself type of a thing, paragraph by paragraph. I don't know how well you memorize or how you memorize. You probably already know. But Dave also will write the first letter of every word, especially if it's a part that's hard for him. So when he's repeating it back, he has that little trigger to help him. I've watched him do that since we've been married. I love watching him memorize things. It's fun. He has a very specific way. He'll write it out first, word by word, everything. He always talks about transcribing. He really does it. And then he'll practice it, and then he'll go to first letter of every word, and then he's got it down, and then there's no going back with him. So
that's cool.
Anyway, just some tips. All right, so the next thing is we just have a few minutes left. I wanted to talk about the openness, wants, and fears worksheet. Because, this is centered on IsaGenix. I want the action plans to be based on IsaGenix. I want to be able to build our value, your worth, and being able to share it, and to be able to see yourself as a leader so that you can present yourself as that. And it isn't always just IsaGenix that's holding you back. Sometimes we totally get it, but we're still just holding ourselves back in other areas of our lives. And so, of course, the action plan is in doing the business and sharing it with other people, but there may also be other things that are holding you back just in life. So that's what this worksheet is all about, is writing down your list of wants, which Mona did, and it really, you spoke so beautifully on how that helped you to hit your 1-star benchmark, which is so fantastic. But then it also, leads you to discover what's holding you back. And so I'm wondering if anybody's gone that far yet in the process and has maybe hit up on some things that you want to process through on, I'm having this resistance or this fear, and, kind of working through that. Is anybody at that point yet with that worksheet? It can be easy for some people and it can be hard for some people. Heather, you already want to process with that?
I was just going to tell you, I'm at that point, and I was going over it again the other day, and I'm like, that is so not the real it. And so I'm just letting you know, I get to dig a little bit deeper and find what it is I'm actually afraid of. So,
okay. Sometimes in the digging, though, because if we can, Even if you just have surface things that you're like, that's not the real thing, doing the surface things will take you deeper. So, I mean, that's the thing about it is, I think a lot of times we get impatient. Like, I don't want to deal with all this trivial stuff because I want to get to the real thing and just hit it. But it can turn into an excuse and a cycle, and we'll never get to it. But by doing the superficial things, eventually you're going to hit that trigger point, which is why wearing my hair up, things like that were real trigger points to me. But if I would have just, been like, that's not the real thing, I would have never done it. I know I wouldn't be where I am right now. So just the simple things. So I would encourage you, and you probably already are, because that's how you are, doing those things that you've come up with, But so what are some of the things that you've come up with that you're like, that's not it? I'm just curious. Like, what's the want? How did you get to the process of getting to where you are now? And then what are those things?
Okay, so my want is 4-star golden circle for my business. That's my want right there. And the fear that came up was that I wasn't going to be able to be a good mom and have a successful business. And the thing that gets me is like, I've worked through this for almost 1.5 years. I'm like changing the script, rewriting the script, believing that the stronger my business is, the stronger my family is, and recreating all of that. And so I look at it, I'm like, is that really what the fear is? Is that my real fear, or is there something else that I'm not allowing myself to see? Okay,
so is there one specific action step or one specific, because not being a good mom is really broad. And the thing with it too is I feel like that has probably thousands of emotional layers. Because a mom, for any woman, that's a big part of our identity, right? Any woman that's a mom or that has a desire to be a mom, that's a huge part of our identity. That's who we are meant to be, right? So there's a lot of layers there. And so just by rewriting the script and telling ourselves things, it's head knowledge and it can be in there as head knowledge, but until you start doing the little action steps and peeling away the layers action by action, it's not going to be incorporated into your DNA. It's not going to become new neural pathways that are stronger than those old ones because those emotions burn strong. And the false stories, because there are also truths to that too. So there's truths and there's false truths, and they're all there and they're mixed together. And you're not going to be able to separate them, and you're not going to be able to really create that belief that I can do this and be a great mom by just looking at somebody else's story and using that as your story, or writing this script over and over by burning the old things. That's only the first step. So it's the action steps that are going to actually burn it into your soul and create a real belief with emotions just as strong or stronger than the ones that are there right now. You'll continue to hit a wall until you really burn them down with action, not with matches. So is there one specific but that comes up that actually leads to a specific action step that doesn't feel like it really could be it, that maybe we could just play with?
I feel like you know me well enough that you actually probably will know before I know.
Well, one of them that I know that you did, and then things kind of changed with your pregnancy. But sorry, I've got something on I wear a mask to bed, and I can see this little piece of this mask on my nose, and it's making me crazy. Anyways, I'm just going to ignore that. I remember you being afraid to schedule time, like specific time in your calendar to work on your business and tell your kids, I'm working on my business right now, for this next hour or 2 hours or however, I don't remember how much time. I think it was 2 hours that you finally allowed yourself to have. And then you finally did it though, instead of like, but I can't because, and I can't because, and finally it's so I'm going to do it and I'm going to see how it works. So did you start with a half an hour? Tell us about that one.
Yeah, my kids wanted me to do like half an hour chunks, and I did that for like 3 days, and it did not work for me at all. I needed to be able to sit down and have that really focused time to just focus on my business. And what I did is I made a sign. It says I'm working for our dreams, and it hangs outside my bedroom door. whenever I'm working my business. It's on my door. And so my kids just know. The little kids will still come in, but the bigger kids, they'll see it and they know. And if they know I'm there, they try to help with the littles. So, and that has made a big difference. And I don't feel like my family feels neglected at all. And that's one of the things I had been afraid of before, was that my family would feel neglected. And they don't.
And they had the same fear, right? Which intensifies your fear, because they're like, okay, we can be without mom for 30 minutes at a time, but that's all. But then you tried it. So you were working with them. You were working on their comfort with your comfort, and you were working as a team. And then with your mom wisdom and knowing who you are and being the adult, you were able to say, okay, I tried it, but it's not working for me. Let's try 2 hours and see how that works. So you were able to build the belief in yourself and also in them that they can handle, manage for 2 hours at a time. And they can respect you and that you were able to, have your own little, what you're going to do with those 2 hours. And they became quite productive for you and powerful, right? Like you felt like you'd accomplished something. So you were able to prove to both you and them. So, because you're working on 2 stories here, right? 2 beliefs. Well, 9 beliefs. That, and you had established that belief. You can't function without me. Right? And now it's like, well, I had this belief that I taught you, so I'm going to change the belief and let's see how it works. And you were able to do that. So in your flow and in your power, and I know, and then, the pregnancy set in and your energy level wasn't there. Pregnancy set in. Anyway. You became pregnant and your energy level was gone. And so that kind of changed. But as you were in that 2 hours or even hours, you're thinking maybe of getting back to that. What's the voice in the back of your head saying? Is there a specific voice that's like, even before, I don't know if it's now with the pregnancy or before the pregnancy, was there a voice that was saying something that was a yeah, but, or I can't because, or this works, but, is there a but in there somewhere?
I think right now, because it had, this pregnancy has totally flipped everything upside down in my entire world. And it's wonderful, and I'm so grateful, and I'm super excited, and it was a huge surprise, and
it's so hard.
Yes. It's so hard, yeah.
Yes. In a big way.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me right now is all about, I don't know how to have a baby and to be so focused on that and build a business. I don't know how to do both of those things at the same time.
Because you've never done it before.
Yeah.
Do you believe it's possible for other people?
Yeah.
For example.
I look at lots of people and I see Elle, she's done it, and I see Laura Stevens, she's done it. I'm like, all these people that I'm watching, that they've done it or are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
so it's possible for some people, but you don't know how yet. And again, the big H how is none of your business, right? And I think you understand that from Mechanic to Millionaire. But we do have little H steps that build the belief and the faith in the big H how. So there's little faith without works is dead, right? So we can have a belief that the big how is going to take care of it, and we can sit back and let it take care of it. And if somehow that doesn't work, and then we can also think, well, it all depends on me, and we can work, and that also doesn't really work. We need to have both. We have to have the little H how is the way I've described it. The little H is the action steps that I know that I can do. And the big H is the rest of it's going to find its way to work. And the little H, the steps come to you line upon line. They come one at a time. As you do it, it's almost like heaven to me. It's like, okay, yeah, she trusted us. She did it. Let's send her the next little step. So do you guys know Michael Jackson? Have you watched his videos? I think it's Billie Jean, where he steps on a sidewalk. He steps one at a time and it lights up. And the next one he takes a step and it doesn't light up till he touches it. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? That's how I see the little H working. we have to put our foot forward and take the step. And as we step, it lights up and we know the path. We know our next step of the path. We don't know the whole pathway all the time at once. Sometimes we do because we've done it, or it's really clear. But most of the time, it's one step at a time. And Heather, I'm going to be bold here and I'm going to ask you if part of your but also might be right now I'm tired and I'm going to be tired for the next at least 2 years of my life. I'm going to have a baby, I won't always be pregnant, but I will have a newborn. I won't be sleeping, all of that. And I can either have my energy or I can work my business, but I can't do both. So I can take care of myself, but that's going to take all of my time that I have allotted, or I only have this much time to work on me. And right now I have to preserve my energy so I don't have time to work my business. Does that fit in there at all?
Yeah, that fits in everywhere.
So, how much time are you worth having for yourself?
How much time am I worth?
Yes.
I'm worth all the time in the world. I've learned that. I used to not think I was worth any time, but now I realize I'm worth all the time.
All right. And so is there a scarcity in how much time you can take for yourself and for your business? Is there I only have this much time, so I better use it all for me and I don't have time left for my business? Or is it okay to do both? Because your business and you are two separate things. You're not the same.
Right.
So
I feel like there's probably a thought process in there that if I take time for my business, I'm taking time away from me.
Okay. So could an action step be right now to, because you're a little further along in your pregnancy, I feel like you're feeling a little bit better. Am I right or am I not right?
Yeah, I'm doing a lot better. Evenings can still be pretty rough, but I've only got another maybe week or two and that should hopefully all be behind me. But my daytimes, I actually am able to function now, and I'm very grateful.
That is amazing. And I would be one to say that if I would take advantage of your feel good time right now instead of waiting for the time when, that week when it all gets better, because what if it doesn't? I just know I didn't have 9, but my last pregnancy was not anything like my others. And so if we're waiting for that, and this is with anything in life, not just with pregnancy, but if I'm waiting for that day when everything works out and I finally can have, my time to work, it's not going to happen. It won't happen. And that's with anything. So it's like, I've got to do it now with what I have. And then in that day when it changes, then I'll have more. Right now I've got to make do with what I have and I've got to make it work. So in this time that you do feel good, can you, and this is what goes back to your calendar and your schedule, can you schedule in stuff that makes Heather feel good time and business time in that week in a balanced way? Whether it's every day or whether it's 3 times a week, I'm going to go to, to yoga or for a walk. I don't know what it is that you do to feel good. I know a few things, but not necessarily with your pregnancy. And business. So you can this is business, this is me, this is business, this is me, or this is business, this is me, every single day. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that trigger anything in you?
Yeah. A couple of things. One, hope. It's like, oh, yeah, I can do my schedule differently. And then also there's a little bit of the resistance of, I just want to sleep. So, and that's also not healthy to just sleep. So,
yeah. So, and that's, I think you're smart enough with your health stuff that, yeah, too much resting can actually lead to the need to rest more, right? So resting can look different in a lot of different ways. So Mona, because Heather, with what you said, so you have hope and you have fear. Mona, can you explain again all those emotions that you felt when you decided to go for it this week? Just so you can hear that they're the same.
So Carrie asked me, what emotions did you have this week? Were you excited? And I was like, yeah, I was excited. I was scared. I was anxious. I was thrilled. I was frustrated. I was happy. Everything. I was all the emotions in 6 days. All the emotions. Sometimes all the emotions in 1 day. Sometimes all the emotions in 1 hour.
And by allowing
and it was okay. It was at the end of the week. It was okay to have experienced those emotions. And it was okay that my husband got to see me be frustrated and excited about my business all in the same day.
Yeah, and it was more than okay because what happened?
And then I achieved my goal. And then I thought, wow, not so scary. And because I think that I oftentimes thought that my biggest fear was fear of failure. And then I realized that sometimes my biggest fear is fear of success. Because when we are successful in something, then what's next? And what if there's not a next? Or what if we can't figure a next? And I go through all the what ifs that I stop myself from being whatever successful is and whatever it might be, because I don't want to have to think about what's next.
That's awesome. And that's anxiety. That's the definition of anxiety. And anxiety can be really paralyzing for a lot of people. It's always living in the fear of things. And so not only is that you're experiencing the reality, if that fear really were happening, you're experiencing it right now with your emotions when you're worrying about the what ifs. And then if it does ever happen, which 95% of the time it won't ever happen. That's a proven thing. 95% of what we worry about never happens. And of that 5%, only 63% happens as badly as we thought it was. So, but we've lived it as if it happened. And if it happens again, we live it twice. So why don't we just wait till it happens and live it then, and let's enjoy right now, right? But you were able to expand your capacity to feel and expand your capacity to enjoy the rewards, because you also expanded your capacity to feel the other side of the spectrum. And I love how you said you let your husband see you, because that's a lot of the times I know for me, I can feel this, but I have to do it in my closet because no one can know, type of a thing. And so it really stopped me from doing a lot of the things that I do now, because no one should see me in this state. But since I finally allowed that to happen, I'm able to experience a lot more joy. So Mona, that's what you experienced, and you hit your goal. And Heather, do you see why I brought her back on? So is it okay to feel that all of the doubts and the worries and also the hope at the same time? Is it more than okay?
Yeah, I think it's normal.
It's normal. Yes, normal. So we're always like, I'm not normal. Well, what is normal? Yes, that is normal. And it's also, I believe it's necessary. I don't believe you'll be able to really experience the hope if you don't allow yourself to work through and feel all of the fear. It's the same, every situation, it all boils down to the same thing. It looks different. It's the same thing when I went last December. It was Dave and I's 26th anniversary. We decided to go to Grand Cayman, and I wanted to fully be there with my husband. And I wanted to feel confident, more confident than ever. And I was so focused on the want. Let's see, how can I say this? I was so focused on it that I let it be a fear. Like, what if I don't? Or what if I don't even know what it feels like to feel confident? So I was like, just someone tell me what it feels like to feel confident so I can feel it. And because of that, I was going through the craziest. I was living everything I'd ever lived as far as fear goes. And I was so surprised because I've come so far. And here I am sitting on the beach in my swimsuit, and I'm paranoid. I'm afraid. I'm crying. I'm hating the whole experience because I had decided that I didn't know how to be confident. Right, but because I finally allowed myself to really get real with how I was feeling, then I was able to say, you know what, I'm just gonna be confident, and I'm just gonna do it. And it changed me in so many ways. And so here I am living the fear of something that wasn't real because of the energy I gave to the fear and the lack of what I wanted instead of just having it all. And it's the same thing with what Mona did. There may have been these fears that I don't want my husband to see me this way, or I don't want anybody to know that it's scary for me, so I'm only going to go this far. But instead she's like, no, I want this, and this is what I'm going to do, and so I'm going to feel the fear, go through it. So by feeling it all, you actually can reach it all. But because I got to decide how I wanted it to feel. So Heather, you can decide, I want to be able to feel like I can do it. I want to prove to myself that I can. And you get to decide how it feels like to be able to do your business and have a baby. You get to decide right now how that feels like, how that looks, and then you just do it. And that's what all of these steps work together to do. And I'm hoping that you're able to see a little more clearly from all the different examples of the same thing happening, that it's the same thing every time. I know that I'm worth it. You've already said, I know that I'm worth the time. I'm 100% worth the time. But if you're looking at relationships, then, well, I'm not even going to go there right now. Then I'm open to trying new things. I'm open to, maybe not having to go deep with figuring out what the real fear is, but just dealing with this one that's in my mind right now, and scheduling time for both me and my business, and letting my kids, manage that. And then I'm going to act on it. I'm going to do it. And then by doing that, you're able to rewrite the stories as you're doing it, because like Mona has proven to herself now, I can do this. So she has a whole new story that before it was, I can do it in marathons. I know I can do it. But now I know I can do it in my business too. So you've just rewritten your story, right, Mona? You've created a new story with business. Like, wow, it's not just marathons. I can do it with anything I want to do. So you've got this new story. So Heather, you can say, oh my goodness, I can do this and this in this much time that I have, and it's going to work just fine, because I'm going to rewrite and you prove it to yourself by doing the action. And then the expression part just is like, here I am, I'm doing this. I'm working my business, and I'm having this ninth baby in my stomach. And then I'm going to be able to do it when the baby is in my arms too, because I've proven to myself that I can. So it's all a repeat of the voice steps over and over and over again. Does that make sense? Is it clear as mud, or am I making sense? I make sense to myself, but I don't know if it comes out the same way.
It makes sense.
Okay. Awesome.
I have one thing. I know we're running on time, and I want you to keep going. I'm just going to put this out so that we can address it later. So my husband has decided that he wants to build his Isagenix business, which is fantastic. And he is an E.
Mm-hmm.
And I have learned this balancing act within our marriage. And I'm trying to figure out, I don't know how to lead him. I don't know how to be a leader for him in the business. And I see like a lot of things, I'm like, this is great. This is what you get to learn. This is what you get to do. And there's not been like this warm reception of, oh yeah, teach me. So I have no idea. Any advice you can give on that area would be fabulous.
I'll give you really quick advice, and then we can go deeper with this, because I understand this really well. Don't lead him. Let him go. And if he has a question and wants to come to you, that's fantastic. Don't lead him. Be a partner. Don't be a leader with your husband.
Okay.
Yeah, just let him do it his way and you do it your way. And the cool thing is you'll find this synergy, and you'll be able to influence more people, because you're going to find people who are attracted to your leadership style, and you're going to find people that are attracted to his leadership style. And because both of you have been able to confidently build in your own way without worrying about stepping on anybody's toes, you're going to increase your range of influence. So just drop it. Don't try to lead him. Just let him go. Okay. That's my advice. And we can get deeper in that. But any other questions? Because I looked at the clock. I'm like, oh yeah, I did go over. Sorry about that. But I guess we started a little late. So Mona.
Can I say something? And this is for you, Heather, because you and I are so similar. Like, we hate to see people stumble and fall. Like, that hurts us more than it hurts them. And I keep thinking, oh my goodness, if my husband was doing this and he was stumbling and falling, I would just want to grab him and take care of him and hold him. And that would make him crazy. So you're going to be way more uncomfortable seeing him screw up than he's going to be going through the screw up. So just let him screw up, and just know that he is stronger than we think they are. So let him stumble and he'll learn. And just like we all stumble and we learn, but it makes me like, it hurts my stomach to think about my husband stumbling and falling. So I know how you're feeling, and I know it's going to be hard to see him fall on his face, but he might, and then he'll get up because he's strong and he can.
Yeah. It goes back to increasing your ability to be uncomfortable through his discomfort. But when you really master that, you'll find out that you have the ability to be comfortable in way more situations. And it'll come up with your kids as they're reaching teenage life. Yes, that was great advice, Mona. Thank you. Anything else before we go? Is everybody willing? Are you guys going to do your scripts? You share, they share, repeat. Yay, I'm excited to see those up on the group. And your openness, wants, and fears. I really would love for all of you to come back with and action step into your fear next time. Like, what is it? Which fear is it that you're going to work? And if you don't know what the action step is, but you do know the fear, we'll figure it out. We'll find an action step for you. And it will, at least, it might not be the action step, but it'll be a step toward it. It might be, again, you might have to take 2 or 3 steps on that sidewalk to really hit that, but you've got to take the first step to get to there. So come if you can, if you're at the end, if you're not ready, because sometimes it takes some of us longer to process these things than it does other people. But when you get to that fear, I would really love for all of you to come with, okay, here's my resistance, here's my yeah, but what can we do with it? Okay, and to be able to talk through those. So, all right, have a fantastic week. And I'm excited to see you all posting videos in the group. Okay, bye.
Thanks, Carrie. Bye, guys. You have a great week.
Bye.